Hello from the corner with the radiator. This is going to be an interesting episode. It's going to be sort of a reverse Hagaki-Yoi. Normally with Hagaki-Yoi, you ask me questions and I answer them. But in this case, I asked a question out on the community tab and you all answered me. When I first started the Dohyo, I was one of only 5 or so English language sumo commentators on YouTube. Recently, the amount of sumo content has exploded online. What keeps you coming back to the Dohyo? Well, first of all, you all had some lovely things to say, and I want to thank you so very much. The feedback was very good for my soul, but not only that, it was very useful for the channel. I mean, in my experience in the internet age, most of the online feedback you receive is very negative. So occasionally I do want to check in to make sure I'm bringing you the parts of the show that you most want to watch. Otherwise, why are we doing it? Now, what I have learned is, well, number one, you all are here to hang out with me. There are a lot of other places you could go on the internet, heck, just on YouTube to talk sumo with someone. But if you're here on the Dohyo, you're here on some level because you like what I have to say about sumo. Now, I've said this before, but I've tried to build this show around IP that I control, and that tends to be my face and my opinions. And one thing I did notice is that you do tend to respect my opinions even if you don't always agree with them. And I always try to back up my opinions with some sort of fact, and if I'm coming to you with just a pure opinion from the heart, I try to mention that as well. Now, many of you said something along the lines of, you don't take yourself too seriously, but you do take your sumo very seriously, which is good. I've been trying to cultivate a channel that you can trust with all of the sumo information, but I tend to take myself with a bit of a light touch. So yes, while I always assumed if you were coming to this channel you were doing it to hang out with me and to talk sumo with me, it's good to get that confirmation that you do in fact enjoy when I talk sumo. Many do not. Fortunately, I think I've been very lucky with this channel and that the trash tends to take itself out and not leave too many hateful comments. And a number of you who may have left a snarky comment like in the first year when I was still trying to figure out the channel, a number of you have come back and started watching the channel again. And I'm very glad that you decided to give us a second chance, and I thank you for that. And a pro tip for any of you out there who are wanting to put yourself out into the internet space for whatever reason, if the worst thing someone can say about you is something that you yourself can't actually change, they don't really have anything to criticize you about. I mean, I know there are a lot of people in the world who do not enjoy this voice that is coming out of my mouth. If I could have a different voice, I would. This was not the one I would generally pick. But if you're criticizing my voice, something I can't necessarily change, that tells me you didn't have a lot of problems with the content, the research, or anything else. So I'll take that as a compliment. Second, a bunch of you expressed that you really enjoy the structure of the episode and the fact that I'm a judicious editor. I'm glad you enjoy the segments. Not only do they help break up the episode from just like an unbroken 30-minute shot of one person's face, but also if you've been away from the show for a while, I find when I come back to a show after I haven't watched it in a while, seeing the same structure and seeing the same segments is sort of like a little homecoming and a warm little media hug. And as for the editing, as an entertainer, I want to make episodes that people actually finish. And I personally find when I get into like the longer form content of stuff that tends to be like over an hour long, I tend to have to break that up into multiple views and I don't always get to the end of it. So having been in live entertainment for a while, frankly, I don't ever want to overstay my welcome. So generally, if you ever see an episode of the Dohyo that runs over 20 minutes, and we've had a few of them, but just know if you see that, I did in fact have a lot to say. A lot of you have mentioned that you do not like AI-generated content, and it's fairly obvious that this show is shot of a person and edited by a person. But yes, I do not use AI in any of my work. Even all the little sumo songs, those all came from my two little hands. Even the drums, I don't play drums and we can't really have them in a Manhattan one-bedroom apartment, but those were all programmed by me. And in general, as I guess sort of like a judio-level professional actor, musician, generative AI has really cut down on the amount of opportunities available for the middle-class artist. So first of all, I want to thank you all for caring a bit how the content you love is made. Sometimes it feels like a losing battle. And I'd just like to encourage you, I know this is a very rough economic time for a lot of people, but if you do have any extra cash, it has never ever been easier to directly support the art you want to see in the world without a middleman. I'm not even talking about myself. I mean, if you want to support, that'd be great. But just any artist that you would like to see more of their art in the world, I'm sure that they have a way for you to help support that art. It has literally never been easier. And lastly, you all seem to miss the deep dives, and you all seem to miss the sumo songs. Now, first of all, the deep dives, I understand that those I think are some of my best and more evergreen content on the YouTube channel. But you also have to realize I did a lot of those during a pandemic when I had way more free time than I do right now. I do try to get like at least 2 or 3 of them up per year, but you do have to understand, trying to make a living in Manhattan at this point, I have a lot less free time than I did when I literally couldn't leave my apartment. And as for the songs, frankly, I wasn't sure if y'all were into them, because frankly, as I started phasing out the songs a bit more, my viewership kept going up, up, and up, but that doesn't seem to be correlated, but not causative for the stats nerds. But now that I have heard from y'all that you are missing the sumo music, expect a new sumo song by the end of the year. Not just a little one, like a full single from the Dohyo and Mr. J-Wags. So I'd like to thank all of you who comment, and I'd like to thank all of you who have subscribed, who keep coming back to the channel after 5+ years and 180+ episodes at this point. I really do appreciate it. I wouldn't sit here in the corner with the radiator talking to a camera if I didn't think there were people out there who wanted to hear what I had to say. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you next time on the Dohyo.